Ah, man, what's going on, sports fans? Mike Kretz here. We are going to talk a little bit about the sport of wrestling. You know, we get so many phone calls. People talk to us and they appreciate our wrestling coverage, but there's a flip side to that coin, and that is not everybody understands the rules of wrestling. But, you know, when you think about the Western Slope and where some of our best athletes are coming out of, it's definitely on the mat. So this is kind of geared towards people who don't necessarily know the sport of wrestling and kind of want to get an idea of what those basics are. So let's start with probably the most basic thing that there is. If you're going to a wrestling event, you're probably going to one of two types of wrestling matches, right? There's the individual types. Those are usually tournament type things. When you go to the state wrestling tournament, it's about individuals, right? You're trying to get as far into the tournament as you possibly can. What we cover mostly, though, is team duels. And team duels are different because what happens in each individual match is going to affect the team score. And when you're going head-to-head in a duel situation, it's what we cover the most, right? So when we're talking about Central versus Fruta, that's a team duel. And the way that team duels work is that each weight class has a match, and whatever happens in that match, based on what happens in that match, the teams will get points from that. So let's go over kind of the scenarios that teams will score from, right? So let's say the match ends at 3-2, and what's going to happen is that's going to be a basic decision that counts for 3 points for your team. There's also major decisions. It's 7 points in college, 8 points in high school. If you win by 7 or 8 or more, then you get a major decision. A major decision is worth 4 team points. There's more than that, though. You can go get 5 points for what's called a tech fall. If you get ahead by 15, Mr. Official is going to stop the matchup because, you're ahead by 15 points. We kind of have a good idea of what is going to come out of that, and that's, 5 points for your team. The last is for pinfalls and forfeits. The team will get 6 points for those. So when you hear me talking about 6 more for his team, that's what we're talking about, 6 points for the pinfall, the most you can get, and of course for forfeits as well. So let's talk about the scoring when the matches are going on. Probably the most basic thing that we're looking for are those takedowns, right? Takedowns look like this. And what they are worth 2 points, right? So within the match, you're going to get 2 points when you get those takedowns. You'll hear it in the crowds too. 2! It's always a fun time when parents are looking for their kiddos to get that takedown. Then what happens if, let's say, this kid gets taken down, now it becomes the bottom kid's responsibility to try and escape. And it's really the responsibility of both wrestlers. Mr. Official is going to be wanting both wrestlers to score. And so the way you can score from bottom is getting an escape. You can get up like this, and that's worth 1 point. So 2 for a takedown, 1 for an escape. But you can also, from bottom, get what's called a reversal. Say you somehow from bottom get control of the situation. That's going to be worth 2 points as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about back points. Back points are different for college and for high school, so we're just going to talk about kind of for high school for this one. It's what we do, the majority of our coverage is on. Here's how back points work, right? When you're getting this turn right here and you expose past 45 degrees on the mat, Mr. Official's going to come in there and start counting 1, 2, 3. And if he gets all the way up to 5, that's going to be worth 3 back points. If he doesn't get to 5, it's going to be worth 2 back points. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about near falls, back points. That's what we're talking about. And then, of course, right, if you're the top guy, you want to get those shoulders down on the mat. If you get both shoulders on the mat, that's your pin right there. So that's kind of what you're looking for. Of course, pin doesn't count for points in the match. It only counts for team points, but that's kind of how that works. Some other things that you'll kind of run into, maybe illegal holds. Those are you're going to be not penalized a point. The other wrestler is going to be awarded a point for that. And that's kind of, I think, as I go over it in my head, I think that's about it for the basics of wrestling, right? So you have your matches, you have your points that we talked about. And, hey, listen, this has been a lot of fun, but it's been pretty basic. I am not by any stretch of the imagination a wrestling coach. What we did do is we got a local legend. You want to talk about going to the back of the programs of those state wrestling tournaments, you're going to see a lot of the name Pfeiffer. We got head coach Chuck Pfeiffer of CMU men's wrestling team to take us on a deep dive. He gave us a complete masterclass. We're going to have a link on this page to take you to that. If you got a kiddo who wants to get serious about wrestling, if you want to be serious about officiating, or if you want to just, like I say, get a masterclass from a local legend, you're going to want to be sure and click on that link down below. In the meantime, let's just wrap it up for our wrestling coverage. Thanks, and we'll see you then.